So in our last video, we talked about the ballade, and we looked at Machaut and Chaucer's examples. Ballade, as you remember, is one of the famous form-fixed or fixed-form poems that come from France and then end up in Middle English. The other famous form-fixed poem is the Rondeau. Now, the Rondeau, like the ballade, is another popular genre that was turned into a high art. However, unlike the ballade, it survived. Remember, the ballade becomes eclipsed by the sonnet because the sonnet seems to be a more efficient way to make arguments in poetry. The Rondeau survives into the 15th century, is huge in the 15th century. You'll find fragments of it in the 16th century, and occasionally even today, you'll find people still writing an occasional Rondeau. The refrain or chorus is the key element to the Rondeau, unlike the ballade, which has an argument that the refrain then responds to. In the Rondeau, the opening lines of the poem are its refrain, and then you'll see how the refrain repeats itself in the middle of the poem as a half refrain, like just a fragment of that refrain, and then the poem ends with the refrain. In Machaut's Dans mon cœur on vous remente, Lady, my heart remains in you, the opening two lines, this is the refrain, and then there is new material, this is the new material, and then we have a half refrain. It's the first line of the two-line refrain of this sort of rondeau, which we call a rondeau simple because it is only an 8-line rondeau. It's the original rondeau. Then we have 2 lines of new material, and then we return with the full refrain. You'll also notice that the rhyme scheme reflects the refrains. We use capital letters for repeated rhymes, and in this case, the refrain repeats a rhyme, so we'll use capital letters, and then we use small letters for the new material. Let me make this point. The rondeau only has 2 rhymes, an A and a B, and this is because it's a musical genre as well. Its origins are music, and each of the rhymes gets a musical melody. So there's only 2 musical melodies that run through it, 2 musical lines as they call it, and they are reflected in the rhyme scheme. Here's the rhyme scheme: remente, départ. We have to do this in French because ment is the new material, it's a small a, and then we have a return of the first line, remente, capital A, and then we have ment, small a, and then we have part. This is all the new material, lowercase b, and then the poem returns to the refrain A and B. Dans mon cœur on vous remente, comment que de vous me départe de fin amour, that's true love, qui en moi mente, dans mon cœur on vous remente, or près Dieu qui la vostre mente, sans ce qu'en nul autre amour parte, dans mon cœur on vous remente, comment que de vous me départe. Lady, my heart remains in you, however far I may be from you, that's the refrain, with true love which dwells in me. Lady, my heart remains in you. I've italicized the refrains as the half refrains. Now I pray God yours may love me. Without leaving for some other love, lady, my heart remains in you. Or back to the refrain, however far I may be from you. The English poet Thomas Haugcleve wrote a rondeau sequence made up of 3 rondeaus. Looking at the first one, you have a rondeau quatrain. Rondeau quatrain is a 4-line rondeau. I've marked it out to make it easy to see. It is an ABBA. This is the refrain. It's a very huge refrain. It's a 4-line refrain. Then you have 2 lines of new material. This is the half refrain. It's the first 2 lines. and then you have 4 lines of new material, and then it returns back to the full refrain, giving you 16 lines. And it's a funny comedy against Lady Money. So it's a joke on allegories. Well may I plain or complain on you, Lady Money, that in the prison of your sharp scantiness, suffering me both in woe and heaviness, and deigning not of succor me purveyor. Lady Money, you're not coming to help me. And notice how quickly the repetitions come. The idea is you develop a very quick idea or theme out of the refrain, and then you put that quick idea in the refrain into circulation. And the poem is kind of like a circle. That's why it's called a rondeau. It's like in a round. The half refrain is put in the center, like an axis that makes the poem kind of spin around in a circular fashion. And then it ends with the final refrain. But of course, like the ballade, there has to be some development with the idea. There has to be some change. It's not an argumentative genre like the sonnet or the ballade. And unlike the ballade, where the refrain asks you to reflect on a discourse, kind of like a gloss or interpretation of the argument or the idea, the refrain or chorus in the rondeau is there to compel the idea into movement. We see this movement in another allegorical poem by Machaut. And remember, an allegorical poem is a poem that uses allegorical... Oh, there's a car coming.
Car.
Let's get out of the way. Perfect. An allegorical poem is when allegorical figures, those are ideas, concepts, psychological conditions, are personified. In Machaut's poem, Quand Madame les mots d'amour m'apprend, we see how the refrain sets up an idea. Quand Madame les mots d'amour m'apprend, elle me peut aussi le bien apprendre, quand grande douceur mon cœur tient de desprendre, quand Madame les mots d'amour m'apprend. Dans qui le bien adroit savoir et prendre, rien n'est plus douce, c'est léger à comprendre. Quand Madame les mots d'amour m'apprend, elle me peut aussi le bien apprendre. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, she may also teach me its good, for most sweetly she sees it and inflames my heart. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, if a man rightly savors and takes hold of love's good things, nothing is more pleasant, that is easy to understand. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, she may also teach me its good. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, think of evils as like the bad things that come with love, the suffering, the pain, the never-ending desire. And remember, desire is a movement that has no culmination, right? It's love or sexual longing that is never fulfilled. This is a medieval concept that then moved into our modern notions of desire. And the rondeau, as you notice, opens with a contrast, right? The figure of antithesis, which is a contradictory position where two opposing forces are brought to bear. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, she may also teach me its good. So she holds all the power. It's always an asymmetrical relationship. The lady has the power. The lover, which is the voice of this lyric I, the I that you're always hearing in the poems, is conventionally male. But sometimes, like in Christine's ballade Solet Sui, that I can be gendered as female or feminine. In Christine de Pizan's ballade Solet Sui, you notice that the adjectives are given feminine endings. So the lyric I here is gendered as female. However, in her rondeau, in Christine de Pizan's Rondeau Tercet, that is a rondeau with a 3-line refrain. Everything here is gendered male, and she, now speaking in the voice of a male lover, is looking for la belle. The beautiful one, the beautiful girl. So in Machaut's Rondeau, she has the power to rule over the lover, and she has the power to do good. But then we get to the next line and the half refrain that follows, reiterating the bad parts of love. For most sweetly she seizes and inflames my heart. And then we're back to the half refrain, when my lady teaches me the evils of love. Do you see how antithesis works? It's going to be very big in the sonnets. Her love is sweet, but it ruins him. But you have to focus on the positive parts as well. Now going to the new material, if a man rightly savors and takes hold of love's good things, nothing is more pleasant. That is easy to understand. And then the refrain returns. When my lady teaches me the evils of love, she may also teach me its good. But here it has a positive air. Love is a bad experience, but it's also good because she teaches in loving me all its pleasures. So you notice how the Rondeau has both turned with these repetitions of the refrain, and yet the refrain pushes the poem towards a different conclusion, right? That's medieval poetry. Let's now look at an example from Chaucer.
Alright guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell.